Hello everyone. Today I'm talking to you from inside my car because the topic today is a little controversial. So I expect to hear a lot of comments on this. We will get into that. My name is Esther Kane. I am a retired occupational therapist, certified aging in place specialist, and I am co-founder of seniorsafetyadvice.com. So welcome to our channel. If you like our videos, of course, subscribe, click on the like button, give us your comments, let us know what you think about our topic. And today's topic is about how to know when to stop driving. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of comments on this topic because I know it's very difficult and it's very emotional and it's a lot of things all wrapped into one. My mom-in-law drove until she was 100 years old, and she kept insisting that she was fine, there was no problem, but when you took a look at her car, it was filled with scratches and bumps and lumps. And what she would do is she would go down to the parking lot and she would paint over the scratches with nail polish. So it was interesting, but we couldn't convince her not to drive. But thank God she did not hurt anyone, because that really is the major problem. Of course, hurting yourself is a big problem, but God forbid you don't want to hurt someone else because of your driving. But how do you know? I mean, how do you make the decision that you need to stop driving? Well, I myself stopped driving at night because I have a very difficult time judging distance. And when the lights are on a motor vehicle or even a street light, it's even harder for me to see that. Mostly that's because of my glaucoma, maybe just getting older. I'm in my 60s, later 60s now, so it's just part of my aging process. So I myself do not drive at night. If I do have to go anywhere, my friends know that they need to pick me up and bring me home, or I just simply take an Uber or Lyft, you know, the taxi, whatever, to get to where I need to get to. But otherwise, how do you know? How can you determine when is a good time? Well, there's a few things. One, if you start to have little minor accidents, if you hit the go-to pedal instead of the brake pedal, you know, if you hit the gas instead of the brake, and you crash through your garage door or into a bush, or, you know, maybe you don't crash into anything, but you almost do. That's a sign that maybe it's time to start stepping away from the car. At least think about it. At least maybe get an assessment, a professional driving assessment from an occupational therapist. Yes, they do driving assessments, or just a driving test, just to make sure that you're okay. If you're disoriented when you go somewhere, even if it's, especially if it's a familiar place, if you go to the grocery store or the post office or friend's house and you get lost on the way, and it's not normally that you get lost on the way. I get lost going around the block, so for me that's not abnormal. But if you normally do not get lost on the way, then, and this time you are confused or don't understand where you are, that is definitely a sign that you should get an assessment, you should get tested, and you should definitely go see a neurologist just to be tested. Because again, God forbid, you don't want to hurt someone, and you definitely don't want to hurt yourself in driving. Vision problems, things like glaucoma and macular degeneration, a whole plethora of vision issues. Your eye doctor should be telling you that you should or should not drive. It's very important to limit yourself to, if you can only drive in the daytime, Avoid driving at night. Definitely avoid driving during the rain at night. That's very difficult. I know when I lived in South Florida, every afternoon when the storms would come, 20 minutes of torrential rain, it was difficult to see 1 foot in front of you. So when that happens, if you happen to be on the road, you want to pull off to the side and stay as safe as possible, or under a bridge, anything at all, to avoid driving while you cannot see. It's just not safe. I mean, whether you hit a person, a car, a building, a dog, anything, it's just not safe. Hearing issues. If you find yourself needing a hearing aid, or if you're struggling to hear sirens or horns, then it's a sign maybe to reconsider your driving abilities. It's very dangerous to drive and not hear what's happening around you. That's why you can't drive with headphones on or earbuds on, or at least you shouldn't, because you need to be aware of what's happening around you. So if you're having trouble with any of those things, then again, you want to have an assessment to make sure that you're as safe as possible. We all want drivers who are safe on the road. If you're confusing, as I said at the beginning, if you have confusion between the two pedals, the gas and the brake, if you find that you're hitting one, you're not sure about the other, even if it's a slight momentary loss of awareness, you definitely want to have that checked, and please go see a neurologist to make sure that everything is going as well, and if anything, to create a baseline to make sure that you're okay. If you're having trouble concentrating, a lot of times it's very difficult while you're driving to concentrate on the road. A lot of people get distracted by the phone, by the radio, they're listening to a podcast, they're listening to the person next to them, and they get distracted. They'll move over. My mom-in-law did that a lot. She'll just, gradually move over to the next lane without letting anybody know that she's doing that. She just goes. And of course, cars would be honking, near accidents were common. So you want to make sure that you're aware of your surroundings. If you are having trouble concentrating or being aware and mindful of where you are, of what's happening around you, then you definitely want to try and stay off the roads as much as possible. Physical limitations can be difficult, but they're not impossible. I mean, there's a lot of adaptations that can be made to cars. If you can't use your legs, of course, there's a lot of hand controls that can be outfitted in the car, but of course that means reconfiguring the car in order to meet your physical limitations. But if you're trying to drive when you have a physical limitation with a standard car, that is not a safe thing to do. We can all agree on that, I think. So you want to make sure to have the right tools for driving safely as much as possible. One of the most common issues as we get older in driving is the slow reaction time. You don't think you have a slower reaction time. Of course you don't, but you probably do. And that slow reaction time can be the second or few seconds that can be the difference between an accident and not an accident. So you want to make sure with a driving assessment that you are able to hit the brake as soon as you need to, that you're able to stop at a stop sign or a light as quickly as possible, that you're able to veer off away from a non-coming car if it's coming towards you, or somebody else is changing a lane without letting you know. You want to be able to react as quickly as possible. If a deer went in front of you, a dog, a person, a car, whatever, you want to be able to react as safely as possible. Not only for your sake, but for their sake as well. So these are the issues to look at, and to be very honest with yourself about driving. I know for a lot of older adults, at least everyone that I know, driving is one of the most important issues that they want to hold on to as long as possible. I mean, I know people who have moved out of their homes and into assisted living facilities who still will not give up their driving, will not give up their car. And I get it. It's important to be able to go wherever you want to, whenever you want to. And it does definitely give you that sense of independence. But safety has to be the utmost issue. So in another video, in another YouTube video, I'll go over some things that you can do if you're a family member and your loved one is refusing to drive, but yet you realize that they're not safe. Perhaps they have dementia. Perhaps they are just physically unable to drive. I have a friend of mine whose mother cannot walk. She has very poor cognition, but yet she is insisting on driving. So her children simply had to disable the car and tell her that the car isn't working anymore. She'd have to buy a new car, you know, anything at all to keep her safe and to keep others on the road safe. I'm not saying just because you're older that you should stop driving. What I'm saying is that if you have any of these signs, get an assessment. Be as safe as possible for your sake, for your family, and for others on the road. All right. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate each and every single one of our subscribers. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to your comments, good and bad, and I'll see you next time. Bye.